Let's go to Canberra now and catch up with the National Senate leader, Bridget McKenzie. Stirring scenes that, isn't it, to see the veterans honoured all these years on, 80 years on after D-Day?
Yeah, it really is, Chris, and to think about everything that they put on the line and those fallen to rid Europe and the world of the Nazis, I think juxtaposes quite starkly with your opening messages. So, yeah, but it is heartening to see them. And I think when you go over to Europe and you see the Menin Gate or visit Zonnebeck, and you've got primary schools that are still celebrating the efforts of our soldiers and the Allied soldiers in those wars, it's very, very heartwarming, and we can't forget what they died for.
Absolutely, and there is broad community support across the political spectrum when we remember our veterans, especially from the Second World War. But we had the opposite of that breaking out in Canberra during this week with the focus on the Greens in particular. Now, I applaud the Prime Minister for calling out the political opportunism of the Greens, the fact that they encourage a radical response, the fact that they have been pushing incorrect messages into the public debate. But I ask why the Prime Minister hasn't been doing this for the past 7 or 8 months. Why has this only happened now?
I think it's been quite breathtaking to watch this Prime Minister's undergraduate response to the atrocities committed by Hamas on October the 7th. Every opportunity he's had to act, he's failed. There's been equivocation, there's been the moral equivalence dogma. Every opportunity he's had to actually do something substantial than other, wave some, kind words this way or that. He's failed and he's missed the opportunity. He's failed to act in the face of rising anti-Semitism in our suburbs, on our streets, around Israel, our ally, but also, appallingly, Jewish Australians. And I think that's where the problem is. This guy treated yesterday more as a debating competition against the Greens, because today he had the opportunity to stand up, Chris, had the opportunity for the Labor Party to support a Jewish MP of exceptional quality in Julian Leese's proposal for a judicial inquiry into anti-Semitism, so we can get what's happening out there in our communities on the record, made public and dealt with. And they failed to vote for it. Yeah. So I just think there's, what you say is one thing, but real men man up, and this guy isn't up to it.
Yeah, there's got to be action. Now, Peter Dutton has put very clearly a proposal that he would adopt if he were in power, if he were Prime Minister, and he's pointing at the Prime Minister here and, of course, the state premiers, and that is when he says that there are existing laws against vilification, yes, against threats, against hate speech. There are existing laws about supporting terrorist organisations as well. So why aren't the political leaders talking to their police commissioners and demanding that they enforce the law instead of giving the opposite message, really, and that is, just let everybody have their say?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I think there's been a huge shift in our police forces across the country over recent times, keeping the peace versus upholding the law. And that it requires political muscle, direction from political leaders to say, don't keep the peace, don't arrest the Jewish man at the protest, uphold the law and protect free speech, protect freedom and respect for all religions, which is actually what this country was built on. I think it's been an appalling segment of our history. And unfortunately, we've got a Prime Minister who fails to stand up. I mean, when you've got, I remember the same-sex marriage debate when we were worried about the wedding cake and, people not being able to buy it. We've right now got Jewish Australians being refused service.
Disgraceful.
By those that support Palestine. We've got academics having their offices urinated on and school children being harassed.
It is a disgrace.
Appalling. This isn't Germany in the 1930s. This is Australia 2024. Man up.
You've got to pinch yourself, though, to realise this is the same country that just 2 years ago was arresting people for not wearing masks in public, was arresting people because they were catching up with their friends in the park, or arresting them because they were going fishing at the beach. Yet now we don't arrest people for chanting "Where's the Jews" and "Gas the Jews" and "F the Jews" and celebrating the slaughter of families, innocent families. I find it just... I don't know how to reconcile those two outcomes from our law enforcement. Thanks so much for joining us, Bridget McKenzie. I appreciate it.